Hi friends, how is your week going? How was your full moon? Mine was pretty intense. My moon is in Libra, so it hit me a little bit harder. It wasn't anything that I wasn't used to. Like the other full moons, I typically can tap into the energy and get a new sense of what that energy feels like. But for this one, it was energy that I was already used to because my moon is in Libra. And so it was just emphasized and a lot more intense. So I had a lot of good realizations, and I kind of wanted to share with you some of the messages, realizations, and thoughts that came through from this full moon. So I hope you had a good one. Let's get into it. So the first thing that definitely came to mind and came through during this full moon was this idea of balance, right? And a lot of people that were talking about this full moon, we knew this was coming. We knew that balance would be a big part of it. But I think what was really interesting about this one is that I'm used to this kind of seeking this balance, but I didn't realize to what extent I was seeking balance, specifically emotionally and within my subconscious. And it kind of got me thinking, like, what is even balance? Is it even really possible? And it was a really weird thought for me to have, because here I am on these platforms always saying find balance, especially during the full moons. And now I'm feeling like, well, what is this balance? What does it even mean to be finding this balance? And what are we giving in exchange for this harmony and balance that we're seeking? And so this full moon really emphasized that feeling of finding the equilibrium and the harmony in everything. But I think one of the things I realized during this full moon was that if you're really constantly seeking that need for balance and that need to be neutral and in the middle, thinking that this is what will help you through any kind of experience, this actually robs us of our experience as humans. Because as humans, we experience highs, we experience lows, we experience times when we're in the middle. But if we're constantly trying to find the equilibrium in every single thing that we do, in every decision that we make, there is good in that because you're taking a balanced approach, but it can also lead us to feel stuck. And I know some of you out there can probably use a little bit more balance in your life if you're someone that kind of makes these quick decisions without really thinking things through. You can definitely use more balance in your life, but I'm talking about people that are a little bit more on the overthinking side, the people that are trying to make perfect decisions all the time, and that are being really hard on themselves about these decisions that they're making and about the path that they're trying to take. So I really thought it was interesting because it can rob us of our experience and of our growth. The second thing that came to mind, and kind of a message that came through during this full moon, was this idea of understanding other people's needs over our own needs. And this again is very much a Libra energy, and I've experienced it before with my moon in Libra, but there was this sort of energy in finding compromise and constantly calculating the interactions I was having with other people, and even interactions that other people were having with each other that I wasn't necessarily involved in, but calculating that balance and trying to find the equilibrium in that. How crazy is that, right? Need for control much? Which is interesting, right? Because when we're trying to find balance and we're trying to help other people, we don't always see it as this need for control. But I think that that was something that came up during this full moon, and this idea that if we're always, first of all, if we're always trying to tend to the needs of others and have a better understanding of other people's needs over our own, that's a really dangerous place to be living, because there is a need for us to connect more deeply with ourselves so that we can also live the life that we want to live and be happy with what we're doing and finding our purpose in life, and not always thinking of other people and trying to control every social situation. So that was really interesting that came out. And I think I was kind of expecting that, but it came out very intensely during this time. And so I think this was a reminder for us to kind of, for those of us who really care about other people, for those of us that are empaths, that are intuitives, that can really feel how other people are feeling and tend to put our own needs behind us and put other people's feelings ahead of us, to really connect with ourselves a little bit more deeply and allow ourselves to have our own needs met and understand what our own needs are, because sometimes we can get lost in that. So I thought that was a really interesting reminder. And the third thing that came through during this time was this idea of just general connection. And I think what I noticed during this full moon was that connecting with other people was actually quite easy during this time. It wasn't as hard as it usually would be, say, if it was an Aries moon where we're thinking of ourselves and we're just want to get our own point across, right? This was more of like a working with other people, finding balance, equilibrium, things like that, right? So it was a lot easier in a certain sense to communicate with other people and to find that kind of harmonious vibe in general society. The one thing I did notice though is that it was very surface level, and so, which is also a very Libra energy to it, right? Of just wanting to connect, that just making sure that you're taking care of other people's needs, but not fully connecting with the person. And when it gets to a little bit of a deeper, vulnerable side, it's a little bit harder with that Libra energy to connect and to kind of let that side show. And so I thought this was a really interesting reminder for us to find those deeper connections with the people that we love and people that we can trust with our full self, and really find that deeper connection with others rather than it always just being surface level. So those were the messages that came through, and thoughts and shadows that came through for me during this full moon. I hope it's helpful for you. We have a new moon / black moon / solar eclipse coming next week. It's not this weekend, but it's the weekend after, on April 30th, I believe. And this is really gonna shake stuff up. So if you need time to rest, now is the time to do it, because this solar eclipses are all about shaking things up, foundations that we've built over time that maybe aren't necessarily on stable foundations are going to kind of be torn apart so that we can come out anew, have new beginnings, new opportunities that serve us a little bit more for where we are now. So it's going to be a very intense time for this next solar eclipse. So if you need time to rest, take it now. And yeah, we'll see each other in a week, a few days, whenever I post the solar eclipse information. Love you guys.